You might have heard about him chopping down a cherry tree or herding his family's cattle across the Potomac River in a storm, but do you really know George Washington? You might be surprised to learn that the man considered the father of his country was not much of a farmer at all, and his life story is far more epic than any myth. Hey everybody, welcome to this house. Today we are exploring Mount Vernon, Virginia, the home of George Washington. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode. There's no easy way to become the leader of the most powerful nation on earth, but for George Washington, it wasn't even a possibility until he was in his mid-40s. At the age of 21, he was appointed to the position of county surveyor in his native Virginia, where his responsibilities included surveying public lands and collecting taxes. It was there that George honed his leadership skills, interacting with people from all walks of life and learning the ins and outs of governing by age 26. He was one of the wealthiest men in the colony, thanks to his mother's estate and his own shrewd investments, but his greatest contribution to the fledgling country would come when he used his wealth to support the Continental Army during the Revolutionary War. In 1775, delegates from the Second Continental Congress asked George Washington to lead the Patriot military, and although he had never held a military position before, he accepted the responsibility. As commander-in-chief, he led the colonial forces to victory against the mightiest army in the world, setting the stage for the birth of the United States of America. But his leadership didn't stop there. He presided over the Constitutional Convention of 1787, helping to draft the framework for the new nation's government, and served as the first president of the United States from 1789 to 1797. But how did this country bump surveyor become the most influential man in America? To answer that question, let's take a closer look at George Washington's life and legacy. George Washington was born on February 22, 1732, to Augustine and Mary Ball Washington in Westmoreland County, Virginia. His father died when George was 11 years old, leaving his mother to raise him and his two younger brothers on Ferry Farm. But tragedy struck again when both of his brothers died, leaving George, the sole surviving male. In accordance with the custom of the time, his mother sent him to live with his older sister's family, where he received a basic education in the home. As a young man, he worked on his family's farm and developed skills that would serve him well throughout his life, including surveying land and managing a budget. When he was 17 years old, he began surveying land along the Potomac River, and it was there that he met Jack West, a young enslaved man who became his lifelong friend and confidant. At 18, George was formally apprenticed to a surveyor and 2 years later became the official surveyor of Fairfax County. In 1759, George Washington married Martha Endridge Curtis, a wealthy widow with 2 children. Together they owned Ferry Farm and Mount Vernon, which became the primary residence of the couple. Throughout their marriage, they struggled with the morality of slavery but ultimately decided to continue owning enslaved people. By the time of the American Revolution, they owned nearly 300. Although George Washington is remembered as the leader of the Continental Army and the first president of the United States, his contributions to the founding of our nation extend far beyond those roles. He was a member of the committee that drafted the Declaration of Independence and the Articles of Confederation. He helped to negotiate treaties with foreign powers, and he presided over the Constitutional Convention of 1787, which drafted the framework for the new nation's government. After his presidency, he continued to serve his country by leading a commission to survey the newly acquired Louisiana Purchase, but perhaps his greatest legacy is the example he set for future generations of Americans. He demonstrated the power of hard work, determination, and integrity. He was a man of the people who never forgot his roots, and he dedicated his life to serving others. So the next time you see a statue of George Washington or walk by a school named after him, take a moment to remember the man who shaped our nation and the values that made it great. Thank you all for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Which fact about George Washington was your favorite? Let me know down below in the comments section. And while you're there, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode. I would also like to take a moment to say a special thank you to our supporters whose names you can see on screen right now. I'll see you next time.